everybody! I wasn't planning on filming a video today, but here I am sitting down because I felt like talking at my camera, and I've been thinking a lot about happiness, and happiness looks different for everybody, and I can't help but feel like there's an overwhelming abundance of information on the internet, whether it's advice or you should do this or you do these things and you'll be happy, and I don't necessarily disagree with them, but I don't agree with everything. Like, just because you have certain things in your life, you can have everything materialistically and still feel like the light is out. I just watch celebrities and I think about they're in the spotlight, and I think about their lives and how private their life gets less and less the bigger that they get, the bigger the name you get, the amount of followers you have. And you know, we're hardwired for survival, and we're hardwired as individuals to survive in this life. And I think a lot of times we find ourselves lost because there are so many people who are quick to tell us what to do, and you know, we're told straight in school, and I've said this before, and I know there's other people that have talked about this on, you know, across social media and stuff, but they're like, go to college, get a big house, have a family, get a 9-to-5, get a really good career, and you'll be happy. And you know, talking from personal experience, and I know that every single person is different, but I had to get what I thought was my dream when I was younger because, you know, I had this facade, I had this idea of climbing the corporate ladder, and it's a whole long story. I've said it in other videos and stuff, and maybe I'll touch on it again somewhere down the road, but I stopped creating art after my mom passed away when I was 18, and it was something I ran from, and I really struggled with happiness. I want to talk about happiness because depression is on the rise, anxiety is on the rise, mental health is a really big subject, and as much as we all talk about it and as much as the door is open, so to speak, it's still kind of taboo. Some people aren't comfortable talking about their feelings. Some people, you don't even know that they struggle with mental health. There's some of the biggest names in the industry who completely feel empty inside, and it looks like they have everything, but they're lacking community, they're lacking relationships. And I feel like a lot of us, especially people who are creative, struggle the most with finding happiness. And I was watching this interview on YouTube the other day. I can't pinpoint exactly which video it was, but it said something along the lines of, as humans, we all want thing in common. We all want the same thing, and we just want to be happy. For certain people, it comes a lot easier. If you're anything like myself, we really have to work hard to be happy. You know, I was reflecting on my 20s because I'll be 30 next month. I know I'm aging myself. By the time you watch this video, I'll be 30, so technically I'm 30, but I was thinking about how much of my life I've wasted laying in bed, even though I may have been productive. I just felt like such a shell of a human. And I had this conversation with my dad the other day, and I was like, you know, when my mom committed suicide, it wrecked me for a very long time. It's taken me a long time to get back to who I was and to try and find who I was, because even though I sort of knew who I was, there's a part of me that has been lost along the way. And throughout this healing journey, it's been this roller coaster of emotions and feeling like I'm doing the right thing, and then second guessing myself. And I feel like that's a very normal thing with taking a jump and taking the leap of faith and taking risks in life. And I was having this conversation with my dad, and I was like, you know, after high school, I really wanted to go to art school, and I didn't. It was very expensive. It was, I think, $100,000 for a bachelor's degree with 1 year of living, and I was devastated. That's truly what I wanted to do straight out of high school. And I remember going to the Art Institute in Minneapolis and being like very inspired, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And my dad had a very serious conversation with me. He's like, Ty, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of debt to get yourself into, and I just wanted it so badly. Well, long story short, 6 months after I graduated high school, my mom ended up passing away, and recovering from that was really hard. I did give myself some time to go to school. I took 3 years off, and I went to school because I didn't want to be a statistic. I didn't want to feel like a loser. Everybody talks about this American dream about graduating high school, then going to college and getting the job and the family, and you're going to be happy. And I know that life is different for every single one of us, but I can't tell you how untrue that is. It's not talked about a lot of times. Like, yeah, you can have all those things, but they don't talk about struggling to make ends meet because you're in debt. Getting back to what I was saying about what I was telling my dad, and I was like, I know that you can't control things in life, and life happened the way it was supposed to, and it is what it is, but I can't help but feel like I really got screwed over when my mom passed away. I feel like I had a lot of those years stolen from me. It took me a very long time to be sort of normal functioning in society. I still have my days, but I struggle really hard with being happy, and I struggle really hard with my mental health. I'm only sharing my journey because I feel like when we talk about the things that we're going through, there's people on the other side who might not feel so alone in their journey in life. And I've developed skills along the way, and I've done so many different talents. I've delved into the arts, but I can't help but feel like there's this part of me that tries especially hard to be happy. I've went through some really big life changes. I've lost friends. I've cut people off, and it's not because I'm a heartless bitch. It's because to where I'm getting to go in my life, I've lived so much of my life in chaos, and I feel like the older I get, the more I crave peace, the more I crave nature, the more I crave just existing and living today, because I'm either so far in the future I'm anxious, or I'm living so far in the past that I'm just heavy and depressed. And it's something that I have to work especially hard on to crawl my way out of. Like this morning, for instance, I woke up with this heavy feeling of emotion. I've been feeling like this for the past 3 days, and I've been in this vicious cycle of burnout for over a decade. I've pinpointed it. I've been in this survival mode, and it's been really hard for me to navigate and try and just kind of get through life. That's kind of what I feel like I've done the majority of my 20s, and I want things to be different this time. I want to live life differently. I know that part of being an artist is feeling things intensely. Like, I experience sadness to a whole nother extreme. When I'm sad, I'm really freaking sad, and when I'm happy, I'm over the moon. And that's kind of a blessing and a curse of being a creative person, is feeling things so intensely. And I'm going through like this healing journey, and a lot of times I really have to remind myself that I'm not a self-improvement project. I'm a human being, and sometimes I have to give myself a little bit of grace and accept myself for who I am, because if I didn't have those deep pockets of sadness, and I didn't have those really big moments of extraordinary happiness, I wouldn't be Tyler. I wouldn't be who I am. And I wanted to talk on this too, because I know that there's a lot of people who struggle with depression that haven't even told somebody. I think one of the hardest things that I've heard while I was struggling was just think positive, just be happy. It's a lot harder than it seems. Like, if I could just flip a switch and be happy, I really would. And I think one of the most important things I've ever done for myself in these seasons of my life, especially like the last 4 years of my life, is allowing myself to feel those intense emotions, to journal about it, to write it down and get that energy out of me, because when it's sitting inside of your chest or wherever you're feeling it in your body, it's like you almost feel like you're being suffocated or weighed down, or you just wonder when it's gonna end. You wonder when it's gonna pass. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest, even though I have healthy habits in place, like I know when I'm feeling down, I need to stay consistent, I need to be active, I need to eat healthy, I need to put good nutritious food into my body. I know I need to get sleep, because when I don't sleep, I'm moody, and especially when I'm depressed, I suffer with really bad mood swings, and it sucks, because to the core of who we are, we're really good people. But it's those things that we struggle with that make us feel less than, and then we end up beating ourselves up, and it's like this vicious cycle of hating and then forgiving ourselves. And depression is so complicated. Depression is so different for every single one of us. Some of us just need to talk to somebody. Some of us just need somebody to listen. Some of us just need to be alone. Not too long. I'm not saying stay isolated, but sometimes when we're going through it, we really need to be alone, because there are going to be times in our life where we're not going to have people in our life who really understand what we're going through. And I think the most important thing that somebody can do for someone who's struggling is just listening and being there for them and asking them what they need. And I feel like as a society, we're so burnt out, and there's this picture painted of perfectionism with women, and there's this, get lip injections or get fake boobs and all of these enhancements to make people like us better or look a certain way. And some people really like doing those things, but I can't help but feel sorry for the younger generation of women that we're raising, or the younger generation of men. It's not even just girls. I feel like we're teaching these young kids to hate their bodies. And speaking from experience, from someone who's struggled with, I'm pretty sure I've had an eating disorder, because I was in the modeling industry and I was told that I wasn't skinny enough a lot of times, and I was 125 pounds and I wasn't skinny enough. And I'm tall, I'm 5'10", and that's another story. But I just wanted to get on here and say that even though somebody might look like they're happy and they might be struggling, there's gonna be things that we all struggle with. This life is not easy. There's no manual, there's no roadmap, and I just wanted to talk about happiness and maybe being creative, or even if you're struggling in silence. I don't have an entire point to this video. I just know that I wanted to get on here and turn the camera on and talk to it, and talk to someone who's on the other side of the screen that maybe needs to hear these words, even if it's me talking to a younger version of Tyler, myself, being somebody that I wished I would have had in my 20s. And maybe that's what I needed the whole time, is just to be there for myself a lot of times. Obviously we have God, but I feel like working on our relationships with ourselves is very important, and we can do all the healing in the world and we're never going to be perfect. So if you're feeling like you need to strive for perfection, this is your sign that you don't need to be perfect. You're whole just as you are, and there's going to be people that come across you that love you. Are there things that we can change about ourselves to be a better human being? Absolutely. But I don't feel like we constantly have to feel like we need to change ourselves for people to love us more. I mean, I've done that most of my life. I'm a chameleon. I can blend into surroundings and fit into a room. I know how to fit in if I want to, but I feel like the older I get, the more I'm learning that it's not about materialistic things. It's not about having that high-paying job. I know that there's a lot of goal-oriented people. I myself am one, but I can't tell you how much my outlook has shifted as I've gotten older, how much I get closer to 30, how much my brain is different, and just my thought process, and really taking a step back and looking at my life and being grateful for what I have. And I don't know, I feel like somebody really needs to hear this, but I feel like a lot of times they say gratitude, write down a gratitude journal, and there's 100 million different self-help books you can read. There's a bunch of different TED Talks you can listen to. You can get all the material in the world, but until you actually do the work is when you're going to really start knowing this stuff, and you're going to really learn about yourself. And I think the biggest thing is facing ourselves and having compassion for ourselves and trying to do better, and knowing that we're never going to be perfect. And this is what I wanted to say. I wanted to say that you can be grateful for certain areas of your life, and then you can be absolutely devastated about other parts. And I'm not saying stay stuck there. I'm just saying that as grateful as I am right now to have all this free time, there's a part of me that's sad about different things. There's a part of me that's grieving who I used to be. There's a part of me that's living in guilt and shame. That's something that I struggle with. Maybe I should have said this or that differently, but there's so many different things that go into play about what happens in our life that shapes us into who we are. And I know a lot of it's choice, and I know a lot of it's mind over matter, but when you're in the pit of depression, you're in the pit of anxiety, it's like your own personal hell that you've created for yourself. And sometimes a version of ourselves that's younger, we're a 4 or 5-year-old version of ourselves, and we don't know who to turn to or what to do, because we feel so suffocated by the weight of the world and the expectations of this invisible imaginary person that's placed on us, that we feel so stuck that we don't do anything about it. So I hope that this video made you feel a little bit less alone, and I hope that this video brought light to your situation. And if you're seeing this today, I just want you to know that life gets better. There's gonna be seasons. It's not always gonna be up, and happiness looks different for every single person. And if you're watching this, go outside, put your feet in the earth, be in nature, play your favorite sport, pick up the guitar again, start delving into them passions even though you might think that you suck. But if there's something that you're really good at, please stop self-sabotaging yourself. This life is short, and I think a lot of the reason we're sad a lot of times is because we listen to so many people and the opinions of others around us that we don't, I have chills talking about this, we don't fully embrace what we're passionate about. We don't go after the things that we want. We're like, oh, I liked art when I was a little kid, but now it's too late. I can't tell you how many people I've came across in the last week that were 40, 50 years old telling me that they wish they would have did things differently in life. And sitting on the other side of that and just listening to that breaks my heart, because it's like, 40, 50 years old, it's not too late. You have another 50 years left. There's so much life left to live, and we have to allow ourselves to live in those emotions, but we also have to be brave enough to take the leaps where it's necessary. We have to carve a different path for ourselves and be bold and brave, you know. I came to this realization. I got the career or the job that I wanted. It was my dream job, and there's a bunch of shit that I went through to get that job, but it pretty much fell in my lap after a lot of trial and error and a lot of struggle, and I got the thing I wanted to learn that that's not the life that I wanted for myself, and it pushed me further towards art, the things that I ran away from for so long because I was running from it. And now I'm grieving because art is something that I want to do full time and I haven't figured it out yet, and maybe that's the beauty of the journey, is just accepting where we're at in life. So if you're watching this today, I pray that life gets better for you, because it always does. I want you to know that things always have a way of working themselves out, even when we don't have the answers. Sometimes you're not meant to know the answer, and I think that that's a big thing that really drives us crazy. So I hope this sheds some light in your life and you feel a little bit less alone. That's all I have to say for today. Much love to you. My heart's beating for you. Bye.